Oh, that's brutal.
You're not
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's City Council meeting.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Here. Mayor Pro Tem Conrad Willoughby.
Here.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Here.
Mayor Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Donovan.
Here.
Councilmember Soroka.
Here.
Councilmember Lee.
Do I have a motion to excuse Mr. Councilman Dooley from tonight's meeting? Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, reading and consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting held on Monday, September 16, 2024. Are there any changes or comments regarding those minutes? Seeing none, they're approved as submitted. Item 4, consideration of a site plan review for Chase Bay located at 460 Moss Road. Will representative for the petitioner please approach the podium and give us your name, company name, and address.
Faith Constance, 1111 Polaris Parkway, Columbus, Ohio.
Tony Gore, 1111 Polaris Parkway, Columbus, Ohio.
My name is David Stengel. I'm with the Architects Partnership, 200 South Michigan Avenue in Chicago.
All right, take it away. We're very welcoming here in Grosse Pointe, like in Columbus. And a little Michigan.
Yeah, but they still have those, that baseball.
Yeah, about that.
That's in Cleveland, that's Cleveland.
Yeah, I know.
They don't-
We won't hold that against.
There are more Pirates fans in Columbus than I think Guardians fans.
I won't talk about the Chicago teams.
Yeah, my son works for the Cubs, so it's okay.
So we were here 2 months ago. We received a lot of valuable feedback from the board here and from the residents adjacent to the Chase space. And we took those into account, and we feel that we have made vast improvements to the design of this lot. The image on the screen is the existing condition, but if you flip to the next conditions, we're introducing this vast area of landscaping. We're actually reducing the impervious surface by roughly 1/4 of an acre. The wall would still be demolished, the existing wall would still be demolished and rebuilt. However, per the feedback that we received last time, we propose to, it's already 5 feet approximately from the property line, but we're proposing to take it another 5 feet inbound, closer to the Chase space. That way we do not disturb the landscaping that all the residents have developed on their side. For that 5 feet that we're moving inbound, we would just simply do some river rock mulch so that we do not disturb what the residents have put together. As I mentioned, we assessed the parking, it was severely overparked. So we realized that we could reduce the parking, which helps us reduce the overall impervious surface by 1/4 of an inch. If you could flip to the other images, we put together another rendering. This is the existing condition. And the next page would be proposed condition, showing additional landscaping, trees, landscaping islands. There is an image where we're showing the site plan. Flip to flipping. See. That's the demolition. So there's a proposed layout where we're introducing some interior landscaping. We're also, this is the opportunity to just get more pervious surface. Along with the additional pervious surface on the north side of the building, where we're also introducing a trash enclosure. Right now, the dumpster is just sitting out in the open, and we are introducing an enclosure to make it more appealing. If you move to further pages dealing with the stormwater. Right now, we all know that the trench drain is just not working. So we are introducing a series of storm drains, some in the parking lot surface and some in the landscaping surface. In order to help with the water that's on the residential side, the new wall will actually have openings at the bottom, similar to a weep opening. But this will allow water to pass through from the residential side onto the chase side into the storm drain system. If we move further to the landscaping pages, the L1 page, it does further illustrate what the intentions are for landscaping, for new trees, new bushes along the wall, so on and so forth. For the wall, in case anybody's wondering, the wall intentions for the wall on the Chase Bank side, the brick will mimic the brick that's on the main building. On the residential side, it'll still be the red that they currently see. Those are some illustrations of the exterior refresh project that's currently in discussion. Any questions?
Define what you mean by currently in discussions.
Yeah.
It's underway, but it's a separate project, so we're not asking approval for that today. We just wanted to let you guys know that we are working on it as part of this.
But like, for instance, the trash corral, you are asking for approval today as part of the site, as part of the parking lot and wall work. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be part of the track, we would do that as part of the parking lot.
Yeah.
But what we wanted to show you is, we know that the parking lot and the wall being done ahead of this part, especially with drainage issues, stuff like that, we want to get that part out of the way as we're before this stuff as well.
You have a question?
I do have questions and a couple requests, but first a statement. I think you guys have come back with a really nice plan. I'm thrilled that you would take the time to listen to us and also to the residents and come back to us with such a nice change. In particular, I read that you're reducing the number of parking spaces by 59. Your increase, you reduced the amount of pervious surface by 12,000 square feet. That's terrific. That's very, very helpful. Every little bit helps us with management of our stormwater here in our community. And I thank you very much for listening to us and incorporating these changes in your plans.
So,
By any chance, did you all see the report from our consultant called McKenna? Have you read that?
I do.
Did you read that? Did you notice that they have 3 conditions here that they would like us to incorporate in the motion here tonight? Did you read those?
I did not memorize them, but
Well, if I could just go over those
Yes.
and then, because they'll be incorporated into the motion, I just want to be sure that you're okay and you can say yes for the public record. They're saying that details of the proposed screen wall construction should be provided for administrative review by the city to ensure that the new wall will meet appearance indicated on the conceptual visualization. Okay, you're okay with that?
yes,
Details of the proposed dumpster enclosure, as Louis was mentioning, that construction will be provided for review to the city for approval from the Director of Public Services, Matt Baca. You're okay with that?
yes,
And elevation drawings and plans as necessary that are specific about the proposed scope and include material colors and specification should be provided for administrative review. Are you okay with that as a condition? Then if you could go back to L100, the landscape plan, I'd like to mention a request from a neighbor that I got today. And I apologize, but I'm gonna have to pull it up because I can't really remember all the details. But a lady who lives behind the wall is very knowledgeable about native plantings. And as I read the plans here, you have 4 Acer rubrum red maples in the center part of the site plan. Is that correct?
the landscaping.
Keep
manual?
going down, yeah. Keep going down. Those 4 trees right there, right?
Okay,
Those are those the red maples? I can't see it very well on my plans.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Would you be okay as another condition that city staff works with our arborist and you to come up with a replacement for those? The concern was allergens and seasonal allergies, and that there might be some other maples that would be appropriate as replacement trees.
Sure.
Would you be okay with that?
Open for that discussion.
So that you guys could all come together and kind of come up with some replacement, but this was a request from a neighbor, and I'd like to make sure that's public knowledge. Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Totally.
Any other questions from council?
I just want to also echo Councilman's kudos there that you come back with us with a good plan. I also wanted to comment on the physical, the building, physical structure that you're doing with that, the tower and the different kind of signage that's there right now. That's an improvement. And thank you for doing that. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
I would just like to add, you say in progress or down the road, is it in discussion? Is it on your table of things to do? Because it kind of brings in the whole picture of the upgrade of the site. I mean, the building is old and tired, and the landscaping looks great and all the things we've talked about, but the building really sets the tone. So, you know, and on a scale of 1 to 10, is it 7 or 8 or 9, or is it 1 or 2?
we just started the project a little bit later, so it's a little bit behind in the design and all of that planning, but yes, we intend to.
But it is on the table.
Yes.
It is.
For an upgrade.
Yes.
Perhaps on the drawing table.
Well, it's a little past that point.
All right. Thank you.
Anything on this side? All right, I'll just echo, I was not at the last meeting, but I gave some questions to some of my fellow council members, and all my concerns seem to be right here. You guys, this is a vastly different design. I had spoken years ago to one of the regional property managers about this building, as Councilman Ritchie just stated, it is one of the entrance buildings to our community. And I think I told you regional property person at the time, it looked like a remnant from Yugoslavia, pre-communist days. You know, a lot of rust on the bottom of the poles, you know, the sort of beige brick. So this, all of this will be a vast upgrade, particularly with plantings and match and be well maintained. And I look forward to the building being done as well, because it is an important part of our community. It's a bank that always seems to be busy on paydays and on the weekends. I do my banking there, so let's, you know, let's hope you guys can get that project done. Greatly appreciate listening to my fellow council members when I wasn't here. And I think it was fascinating presentation. So. All right, anybody in the public would like to speak on this? So you guys can have a seat for a minute, and then we'll let people go. Andy Durbin.
Again, 306 Fisher Road. The question I had was, if the, Uncle is not here tonight, he only jumped to the other wall was right on track, and I'm not sure I understand what they've done to the wall. What is it gonna actually look like? It wasn't clear from their pictures, their descriptions. What is the wall actually gonna look like?
Well, I think they're saying it's gonna look pretty much like the old one, but they'll keep the red on the back and then this beige on the front that will match the brick that's on over now.
So
With these limestone or concrete caps.
Yeah. Limestone.
Limestone caps.
Because what they did before, the original plan, it is different. Different.
The original plan was like slatted concrete,
Yeah.
pressed brick, so this
Okay.
is all, this is a much better design.
But it's the same fake, it's a concrete wall, isn't it?
It's brick.
It's a brick, it's a real brick wall.
Yeah,
Not,
no, not the precast or.
okay,
Yeah.
exactly, brick wall, okay.
Yeah.
I just looked at it. It wasn't clear from the script.
It does look exactly the same.
Name and address, please.
My name is Kate Jackson. I'm 444 Morales Road, right next to the bank. So I'm just trying to see if I understand what they were saying. So 5 feet in my yard belongs to the bank. So were you saying that you're gonna take another 5 or give another 5 feet?
Yes,
And it'll be 10 feet total, and then you're gonna put, did you say gravel down there, or?
Wash stone, like the
river ride.
Yeah.
So like I'll have grass, and then I'll have the river run. And then
Yes.
the gate, I mean, then the fence.
Yes,
I don't know how many you're still about that, but okay, I mean, do you have pictures of that, how that would kind of look?
We struggle to get the pictures from the resident side without going into the properties,
Oh.
but it was, it was the best solution that we could think of so that you could retain everything
All right,
that you had.
All right, so let's do this. It's all supposed to come back through this table, so I just let it happen a little. So you can zoom in if you want. You can see the river rock on both sides of the, so it's gonna look like that on your side as well. So it's basically for water drainage to allow it to happen from your property, so it won't puddle onto theirs to go into the new sewer system. So it's hoping to keep water off of the neighbors' properties and let it come under the fence into the new drainage that we built. So you won't have water collection in your property. All right, thank you. Anybody else have any questions for the public? All right, seeing none, public comment is closed. What's the pleasure of council?
I have a motion, Mike.
Thank you, Councilman.
I move that the city council approve the site plan submitted on September 12th, 2024 by Kinley Horn Engineers for the applicant for the property located at 460 Morocco Road, the Chase Bank branch. Approval of the site plan will allow the applicant to remove the existing screen wall at the rear and side yards and replace it with new concrete screen wall, to remove an approximately 5-foot wide strip of landscaping at the rear of the wall and replace it with stone mulch, and to remove numerous parking spaces and replace them with turf and other pervious surfaces. To reach this decision, the Board of Zoning Appeals has reviewed Matt Backus' memo dated October 14th, a review report from McKenna, site plans, and a drainage memorandum submitted by Kinley Horn. Approval of the site plan is subject to the following conditions. The applicant agrees to install shielded light fixtures aimed to avoid casting glare downward towards the neighboring residents. I put that in because I wasn't quite sure if there's going to be lighting, but in case there is, we have that condition. All site development will not deviate from the site plans and the drainage memorandum submitted by Kinley Horn unless approved by the Director of Public Services. Details of the proposed screen wall construction will be provided to the city to ensure that the new wall meets the appearance indicated on the submitted plans. Details of the proposed dumpster enclosure construction will be provided to the city for review and approval by the Department of Public Services. Elevation drawings and plans as necessary that are specific about the proposed scope and include material colors and specification will be provided to the city for administrative review. All new tree and shrub species will be native to Michigan. The petitioner agrees to work with city staff and also our arborist to be sure that Glory, in particular, Glory female maples are appropriate substitutes for the red maples as approved on the plan or that appear on the plan. And any new stormwater management systems will meet both Wayne County and the city of Roseland Farm standards.
Two comments. Lev, number one, your motion referenced Board of Zoning Appeals. Technically, we're sitting at City Council.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Site plan
Yeah,
review,
yeah.
so it'll
Sorry.
only require majority, simple majority vote.
Thank you.
Number two, I heard you say concrete screening wall, but I also heard from the applicant that it's going to be brick.
That is correct. It will be masonry.
I think we want to change concrete to brick mason.
All right. Thank you for that.
I'll also request, Lev, you didn't ask the applicant, you specifically identified a type of maple you want to replace the gum.
Yeah.
But I don't think you asked them. I think you said, will you replace it with a tree that's you believe is suitable, that's approved by the administration? and the
Yes,
neighbor?
and I mentioned that particular species in that it was referenced in an email to me today. This is a particularly low allergenic tree.
Well, the rum says moderate, so I think, so that, let's just leave it as a suggestion, so we didn't ask the applicant, and they can work it out with the administration.
Okay.
Because they want to make sure they don't get a tree that has a root system that might upset has a different type of root system that will upset the paving, et cetera.
Understood. So we'll remove the Glory female maple and we'll just say trees that are appropriate substitutes for red maple.
Less allergy.
Yep.
All right, do I have, does the motion have support?
Fourth,
Mr. Kazicki, roll call?
Councilmember Wood,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Conrad Goldberg,
yes.
Councilmember Ritchie,
Yes.
Mayor Darrell.
Yes.
Councilmember Donovan.
Yes.
Councilmember Seola.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis absent.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. When will construction start? I forgot to ask it. Just so the neighbors know, just so the neighbors are here know.
Probably late spring, early summer.
Okay, next year.
And it'll be a phased approach, so we'll
Okay.
have to do it phased just because the magnitude of what we're facing.
All right, appreciate it. Thank
But
you.
we'll make sure we get that way to work.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn as the city council and to reconvene, and to convene, I'm sorry, as the board of zoning appeals?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, Board of Zoning Appeals. First of two items, consideration of a request for a variance at 350 Hillcrest Avenue. Will the applicant, please approach the podium and give us name and address. Just in case they're not at 350.
Hi, I'm Chris Beck. I'm the homeowner at 350 Hillcrest.
And I'm Sean Horvath. I'm representing Clear Construction, the contractor to build this garage.
Chris, fire away.
Okay, as you can see for the submission of variance, we're looking to
looking to rebuild my garage that has deteriorated over the years. I've owned the home for about 15 years. At the point when I bought the home, it was already in significant decay, no foundations whatsoever, so it's decayed down. So long story short, all of that at some point was needed to be replaced regardless. 15 years later, we're here, and we're looking to do just that. Overall, I'm looking to keep basically the same footprint as what I had, with the exception of a small little bump out on the rear of it. Looked at the drawings, it's going to jog to the rear, just flat, straighten that out, to make it a completely square garage of 20 by 22. The issue and the aspect of the variance is the aspect of height. So I'm looking to increase the height to provide for loft space above the main garage zone, primarily for storage. My wife and I are the co-founders, if you will, for Special Olympics in Grosse Pointe, Purple Woods, and frankly, we store all the equipment. So between coaching, bringing all the equipment, all our activities, practices, tournaments, etc., becomes a little bit of a challenge hauling it up from our basement, garage, and a couple of other locations as well. So that's really the precipice behind having the added storage to the garage itself. I provided a variety of aspects relative to neighboring properties. The one directly across the street at 347 has the overall same height as what I'm requesting here, 20 feet. It's a larger garage in terms of its overall footprint, but the same overall height.
Excuse me, Chris.
Two adjoining properties on either side of me also exceed the height limit, but only by roughly. So not as significant as what I'm suggesting, which you see there in 352 and 348. I've also provided a variety of images just of my property itself relative to the visibility of my rear lot. Frankly, I have only a 9-foot driveway between where my house is and then the neighbors, which you can see actually the shot here, and the one below that has very limited visibility towards the backyard. The garage set at 4 feet from the property line, looking straight on, you only have to see 5 feet of the garage in and of itself as it is. Both of my side property lines are a tree line, so I have absolutely almost no visibility from either of the neighbors, which is also some of the pictures that are provided there. All of which then we've gone around the neighborhood and asked for everybody's acceptance to this, which is also part of the variance ceremony. It's kind of written in a nutshell.
All right, questions from you, council? I'm sorry. I was turning you left, I like it, just go ahead. Go ahead.
I'd like to go back to the top picture, if that's the correct one. Does that one show the building before you knocked it down?
No, that, at the top right, no, that's actually taken after it's been out there, that is the existing garage.
Let's get a picture from the street where the building still exists. Do you have one?
I don't.
Well, you didn't.
Quite frankly, I didn't think of taking one before the garage came down. It's hard, I'm in the midst, I'll say what, we're in the midst of construction now. The garage has been demoed, it's gonna come down regardless. And despite the variance request here, the footprint wasn't changing other than that squaring off on the back side. So we actually have a permit in hand relative to the foundation work, which was just completed last week as is the driveway.
So you're not really changing the footprint of the building, but you're changing the height, and the variance request is for the height. And my point in asking about seeing it from the roadway is that it's very hard to see that through there. It seems to me.
Yes.
You alluded to the narrowness of it. If you can go back to the narrowness of the driveway itself, yeah, it's,
yeah, if you look at the bottom right there, that's the view without a car, first, right at the front of my house, not even from the street, so you're further back from the street, and that's the view that you have.
And so, my point is that the visual impact to the neighbors or anyone driving by is going to be relatively, I mean, let's face it, it's pretty skinny and you can't really see that through there.
Correct.
And the height is
It's
going to
have less
be,
impact because of that.
yeah, and your practical difficulty here is that you had a home that was you had a garage that was that was breaking down and not in good condition, and that you needed to replace it in order to replace it with a little bit of extra storage, which others in your neighborhood have, because you showed a picture of another neighbor with storage. You want to have substantial justice to being done here, so that you need to get a new garage, first of all, one you'd like to be comparative to the neighbors. Is that right? Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Beckman? You've done a very, very good thorough application.
Yes.
And you've gotten neighbors' support in writing from not one or two, but several neighbors. I hope there's not any other neighbors in the audience who are disagreeing with them, but we'll soon find out, I guess. But I think that also the difficulty that you have, particularly for what the use is I would have to say that your Special Olympics program, which you're doing, is quite notable. So I'm inclined to grant it.
Any questions from the zoning board? All right, any questions from the public on this item? Seeing no questions from the public comment is closed. What is the wish of the zoning board of appeals?
Honorable Mayor, I'd like to present a motion.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. I move to grant a dimensional variance to Mr. Chris Beck, the owner of 350 Hillcrest Avenue, Grosse Pointe Farms, Michigan 48236, to construct an accessory garage with a height of 20 feet. This property is located in the R1 residential district, where the zoning ordinance permits accessory structures up to a maximum height of 15 feet. Therefore, the proposed 20-foot height requires a variance of 5 feet. In making this decision, the Board of Zoning Appeals has reviewed the following: McKenna's report dated 10/7/24, memo from Matthew Baca dated 10/14/24, Zoning Board of Appeals application submitted by Mr. Beck on September 10th, 24, site plans, and 8 letters of support from neighboring property owners. This variance is supported based on these findings. Okay. The difficulty is not self-created. The homeowner purchased the property with an unsafe and dilapidated garage, which had a heaving foundation, rotting seals, and unstable wall studs. The proposed garage will address these issues and provide adequate storage to meet the homeowner's specific needs. Granting this variance ensures substantial justice for the homeowner, allowing the construction of a garage that provides adequate storage and is consistent with other properties within the zoning district. Granting the variance will not interfere with or injure the rights of neighboring property owners. In fact, no letters of objection have been received, and 8 letters of support from neighboring property owners have been submitted. The variance aligns with the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance. The siting, character, location, and intended use of proposed garage are harmonious with the surrounding district. Construction will follow the plans Mr. Beck submitted in his application dated 9/10/24. The variance does not increase population density, nor does it require additional governmental resources beyond those already in place or planned. Now I have a condition. Mr. Mayor, I get the conditions now, right? Okay. The space above the garage is designated for storage only, with no plumbing or sleeping quarters to be installed. Yes.
Good to go. Good to go. No thought? Any support? Support letter. All right. Derek, roll call.
Councilmember Wood,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Conrad Wilberding,
Yes.
Councilmember Ritchie,
Yes.
Mayor Theros.
Yes.
Councilmember Donovan,
Yes.
Councilmember Sorka.
Yes.
Councilmember Wu is absent.
Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Item 5B. consideration of request for variance for 117 Mapleton Road. Will the applicant please approach the podium and give us name, address, and their presentation?
Dear Mr. Mayor and members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. I request.
Dr. Pontos, you have to give us your name and address for the record.
And I'm the owner of the home located at 117 Boulevard, New York.
Thank you.
Now, I request a dimensional variance for the property located at 117 Mapleton Boulevard, which is located in the R1 residential district. The addition will cover the existing back porch with shingles instead of them, plus cover the back porch with insulated walls. In addition to insulating the shingles roof over the roof porch to save energy. We're going to use 47R of Corning fiberglass company installation for the shingles. The proposed addition is supported by the signatures of 27 residents residing on both sides of Mapleton Boulevard near the home at 17 Mapleton Boulevard. Those farms almost equally divided between the two sides of Mapleton Boulevard. The both 27 signatures are attached to the Board of Zoning Appeals application. The proposed addition is supported by 8 residents near the 117 Mapleton Boulevard home. The both residents' signatures are attached to the Board of Zoning Appeals application. 7 of the 8 above signatures are signatures of residents residing on the same side of Mapleton Boulevard as the home located at 121 Mapleton Boulevard next door to the 117 Mapleton Boulevard home. See attachment B. The homes are located next to each other west of 121 Mapleton Boulevard home. The resident of 123 Mapleton and anyone else who have flooding problems who live in west of 123 Mapleton Boulevard have no longer to be concerned with the rain water created by the mold and do not permeable to water shingles covering the back porch of the 117 Mapleton Boulevard home, creating flooding of their backyards from the drains. The above rainwater will be carried by 6-inch gutters and downspouts to the 117 Mapleton Boulevard home front yard. Once the above front yard is saturated with water, the excess rainwater will run onto the street and the existing Grosse Pointe Farms rainwater sewer system and not the backyard of the 123 Mapleton Boulevard home. Attached to the Grosse Pointe Farms Board of Zoning Appeals application is a document provided by the residents of 121 Mapleton Boulevard to the city of Grosse Pointe Farms Board of Zoning Appeals dated April 3rd, 2024. There is no new window creation facing the home of 121 Mapleton Boulevard in the enclosed drawings. In the absence of no new window creation facing the home of 121 Mapleton Boulevard, there is no 121 Mapleton Boulevard home privacy issue as the above document dated April 3rd, 2024 indicates. The natural light and natural airflow disruption over the home at 121 Mapleton is blocked by the privacy fence created by the resident of 121 Mapleton Boulevard and by the roof of the ranch home located at 121 Mapleton Boulevard, no matter what the resident of 121 Mapleton claims. The 121 Mapleton Boulevard ranch home is longer than 117 Mapleton Boulevard home next door. The passion of the 121 Mapleton Boulevard home is in the back of the home. There is no disruption of natural light and airflow to the above patio by the back porch shingles of the home at 170 Mapleton next door. The back porch area is going to be used by the occupier of the home as a room or place to do his or her work at home when an employee has work requiring him and or her to exclusively or partially work from home. I request permission to do the above for the economic benefit of tenants who pay the home utility bills of the home at 170 Maple Boulevard. Since saving energy is describable that providing office space for someone that has a job requiring him to work exclusively from the home or partially from home improves the quality of life of those living at 170 Maple Boulevard, Grosse Pointe Farms. Sincerely, yours, Theodore G. Penrose, MD.
We have questions from the ZBA. I'll start on the left side this time, so it's level, so to go first.
I have a real problem. I apologize, so please speak loudly, one word at a time, so I can understand you.
Can I pass?
Sure. Yeah, I just
Let me
trying to be
pass,
fair.
I want to hear some other.
All right. See, all right.
Okay, in the McKenna report, will be page 5. The applicant contends that some homes on Mapleton have a similar footprint to what is required, but no details were provided. Would you happen to have those addresses?
Yeah, we have drawings, if I understood, you want to have some drawings or
No,
some
sir.
explanation? I'm sorry, I apologize.
That's okay, sir. So it seems that you stated in your package
Yes,
that some homes on Mapleton have a similar footprint to what you're requesting, but you didn't provide those details, like other addresses that are similar to what you're asking.
I have, my assistant and manager, my estate, real estate, Mr. Fickle Medic, here next to me, he might be able to answer that question. He's very familiar with the blueprints and everything else. He's sitting next to me, I can ask him to come and, answer the question, which I'm not sure I fully understand.
Okay, I'm educated, I do some work with the documents.
Okay, now you have to speak up. So get to the microphone, and so everybody can hear you, so we need your name and address.
The house next door is house next door, so I think 119, or no, 17, there should be 113 or 15, house have addition. Same what you're looking for here next door. They have the same addition. The house next door.
So that would be one
Yeah,
and not some.
yeah, we see one.
One floor.
Yeah, we see
One,
one.
one floor, we're not on the second floor, only one floor. The main floor.
No. We see only one next door.
So if I recall, last time you were here, you mentioned addresses of other houses that had 2-story additions.
What?
Last time you were here, you gave us addresses of houses that had 2-story additions on them. Do you remember those addresses?
Yes. the addresses, that they have two-story additions, where, across the street, I have a home, 124, that's two-story high. I don't know if that's what you mean, but I cannot remember the addresses of these places that I told you, I couldn't remember. No, but the person on the east of my house has a addition similar to what I'm talking about, main floor only, not second floor. And I want second floor, only main floor, one floor.
Mr. Mayor, I have a concern, because there's opposition, that we have to consider having someone that can properly explain his request, Mr. Panto's request. And if there are homes that are similar, we shouldn't have to figure that out. We should have those addresses as part of his application. We have to be fair to everyone. And there are people
next to me is, I'm on 17, I think it's that 171 maybe.
This is
No, I can look it up, I cannot tell you what is the number in the form, but it's next to me, right next to me. At least.
Now to the right side. Wow.
Bill, I'm struggling with good practical difficulty here, and I would like to ask you if this, based on what Louis and we're all talking about, and relates to substantial justice, but it seems to me the practical difficulty could be described as the zoning district requirements specifically for the lot size, 5,000 versus in this particular roadway, along this road, it's like 3,200, it seems to me. The lot size prevents the applicant from adding an addition, which is enjoyed by others in this zoning district. Therefore, a variance would provide the gentleman substantial justice.
Well, I'm going to answer your question a little bit more generically, and then we can bring it down to this application, depending upon where we head. The existence of a current nonconformity in the structure on the lot, not in and of itself create practical difficulty. If it did, you'd have a circularity argument for any non-conforming property on any lot in any zoning district. So that's not adequate in and of itself. If you were to conclude that with the evolution of current living standards, that the structure did not provide adequate space for a conventional single-family use, given the extreme tight lot size and lot coverage requirements, you could construct a practical difficulty on the basis of inadequate current standard living space for the lot size. So whether or not that applies to this application is a fact-finding matter for Board of Zoning Appeals. And since we're probably going to get to it anyway, I'll mention it now. We only have 6 members of the Board of Appeals here tonight. It requires 5 affirmative votes to grant a variance. So I'm not trying to punt your question, but there's an intersection between the legal requirement and fact finding. I can't make the fact finding. That's the 6 of you.
So, well, I think I was trying to go along that line when I said the zoning district requires 5,000 square feet of coverage. Here, this is not a self-created hardship. The gentleman has 3,200, right, in his area, on his lot. So he's prevented from adding a second, another addition like that is enjoyed by all the others in the area. Therefore, he's getting a substantial justice if we give him a variance. So that he's gonna have a house that's gonna be similar to those in the neighborhood, just because it's an inadequately sized lot.
I understand your
And
argument. Substantial justice is a separate factor.
Yeah,
Above and beyond the need to find a practical difficulty in the first place. I think you can articulate one here, but, and it would be based upon the character of the living space compared to current standards in 2024 versus the extreme compression of the lot itself.
all right, well, I've taken a shot at it. Let me ask my colleagues.
Well, let's get the questions done, and then go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
I've been in this home before, and I do think that it does merit some more due diligence from the zoning board. We're looking at a porch here, and to the best of my recollection during my visit, which has not been in 3 or 4 years, that to have an addition to cover the back porch, to me, does not, I think it could warrant a practical difficulty. I'm very, very much opposed to what the initial presentation was from your doctor as far as a much larger addition. I do not think that would be able to, I can't find a practical difficulty with that, and good conscience go for a zoning variance. However, I do think, I agree with some of my colleagues here, that perhaps there needs to be a real understanding through a presentation that can be, first of all, can be heard. And with all due respect, Doctor, I could not hear you in your presentation. I could not understand you, and that's not necessarily your fault, it is mine. But I will tell you that would have benefited me if I could hear the right rationale. To the gentleman next to you, I still do not get your name and your address.
My name is Richard Medic. I live in Mount Clemens, 51 Sheridan.
You live where?
Mount Clemens.
I see, okay. And you are here in what capacity of this hearing?
What did you say?
What do you do? What's your relationship with Dr. Pontos?
I work for him almost 25 years.
And also, he's managing some of my projects in that are going on at the present time. Besides this project here.
All right, Councilwoman Donovan expressed that with the McKenna report, that you mentioned that there were some other different homes in the neighborhood on the street that are very similar to what the variance you're asking, but you could not name them. I think that would be helpful
I
to
did
your
not
case.
name the other home. The only thing I can tell you is the home next door is within, let's say, to the east of my home, adjacent, they have an addition like this, exactly. That next to it, then I can tell you, they actually starts the number starts from Lakeshore Drive, so mine is 117. I imagine this is one odd number there.
You can't speculate with that, sir. You have to actually know. You have to actually know. You have to actually have that address to compare with, because, excuse me,
All
sir.
right,
excuse me.
hold on, everybody slow down. Go ahead, hold on, Dr. Pontos. Let her ask the question, and then you can answer, okay?
All right, so my understanding is that you know of some places, but you don't have the exact address. Is that correct?
I don't have the address right now.
All
I
right,
cannot
thank you.
remember.
Okay, all right. And then,
I do know I have to have the address. I apologize.
all right, I'm going to move on to the rest of my colleagues for other different questions. But I do agree with Councilman Donovan that perhaps there needs to be some assistance here with the presentation if you want to have various. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You understand?
Yeah, so I guess my question, and thank you very much, Councilman Donovan and others for some of the questions, you kind of got a little bit where I'm thinking, and I worked a little bit on this and thought about it. One of the concerns, and it's reflected in the letter from some of the residents here, is that there's been a shifting discuss, and this gets to the notion of practical difficulty, right? There's been a shifting kind of description of why you need the additional space, right? And I guess one of my questions, and this may get to the issue of practical difficulty, is part of the reason why you need the space, the additional 200 square feet, because it's difficult to rent out a place that is 1,200 square feet versus 1,400 square feet?
No, it's not right, it's not 200 square feet, it's less than that, it's 13.5 feet, no, 11.5 feet by, what is it? 11, 14 by 1.
So 150, so it's 150 square feet.
Now, I want to make this quality of life of the people living there better than they are. And
And
it's
it
not
is-
better, I want to make it better for them. I'm not asking for more rent. I want to make it so that it'll be more livable. I'm not looking for more rent.
No, I understand. My question would be, is there anyone living in there right now?
No, actually, we have a relative who's staying there for a couple of days.
Okay.
Because she has to have, her husband died, and then I think that's going back to Greece.
Okay.
Husband died, but
Okay.
she stays, that's the, in bed, and that's it, she's really,
I understand.
she's not paying rent.
I don't have any more questions.
This is your third time. First of all, we got a letter from the residents opposing it. In that very letter, there's an aerial photo of the house next door that is literally almost 2.5 times the size of this house. So the one problem I have is it's a 150-foot addition. We got a lot of people who signed the petition when it came back last time, saying they're okay with the 2-story addition. I've got a lot of neighbors now saying they're next door who enjoy much more square footages in their house than this request. Of course, saying, no, we don't want him to enclose what is essentially a wood deck, when he has come down substantially from what he wanted. At a certain point, there are property rights in this city where people should be able to improve their properties. Now, Dr. Pontos, I don't disagree with my colleagues here that there are some slight deficiencies here that you will have to fix when you come back. Because right now, I don't think you're gonna get 5 votes, and I don't have Councilman Galuli here to give you a yes vote or no vote. I don't know what his vote would be, but that's one less chance you have of getting this passed. I will also say though, you know, your property looks cleaner than it did before, but it could still use some work. It's still not, you still have materials outside your house that should be in the garage, hidden from view of your neighbors, and not just collecting dust outside while you wait to do this construction. So what I'm suggesting is, you have your architect come next time, who prepares these drawings, so he or she can speak to these drawings, what the construction will be, how they plan on doing it. I want them to answer, if they are the ones who are leaving construction material on your property, they should be answering you and to us as to why they can't maintain the property in a clean manner. All right?
Yes.
There are many, we can take notice, frankly, as a zoning board of appeals, that there are plenty of houses on your block, which we've all driven by many times, that are substantially bigger than yours. And this addition.
There are many, yeah.
Yes, I get it, but you just get us some addresses so we can have them in the record, because it's not my job to go get those
No,
addresses.
I'll do that.
Yeah, your neighbor gave us a picture, it's in the record, and their house is twice as big as what your house is. So I want you to come back, but you should bring your architect should talk to our city. If the architect, the builder, if the builder is the one whose materials are on the property, we all want that everybody here and everybody sitting behind you wants it all cleaned up before you come back next time. You cleaned it up once, we need to keep it clean. Okay? So I'm trying to get you to yes, but you gotta help us get there. Okay?
I'll actually bring addresses for the.
Okay. And your architect or builder, whoever did these drawings, we want him or her to be here as well.
Drawing, yes, I can have them come.
And they should talk to Matt,
Yes.
our director, before, I know you've talked to him before, but I want this guy to talk to him, all right?
But I can say this, we do have architectural drawings, already in place.
No, you do, but I need the architect to come here and describe to the board
Now,
what exactly you're planning on doing. I think there'll be a better presentation for all of
I
us.
see. Now, I don't know if he has, he has a company that does drawings like that. I don't know if he has a degree in architecture or not. I don't
Doesn't
know.
matter, he will be able to describe what they're building better.
Oh, I
This
see.
person, whoever created these designs,
Oh, okay.
want him or her to come and do this.
Yeah, and I can tell you that all these things is going to be cleaned up for sure.
Quickly,
Very quickly.
okay. Right, and we're going to adjourn you until, you want 1 month or 2 months?
1 month.
1 month, okay, we'll adjourn this to next meeting.
Yes.
Now, okay, you can have a seat, Dr. Patos. Sit down for a second. Take a seat for a moment. I will allow any of the neighbors who are here to speak, all right? We know it's not clean. I would like to hear, though, if any of you have a reason why this 150 square foot addition should be built, other than, I don't know what he's gonna use it for. Because many of you live in homes that are bigger than this. So I just want to hear what your objection is to this building, so he might be able to address them till you get past us the next time through.
I might not understand.
Come on up, you gotta come up, give us your name and address. You pay our electricity bill? Go ahead.
I'm Stephanie Tyler, 121 Mapleton, right next door.
Mhm.
I might not understand practical difficulty because I'm not used to dealing with this until the variance request came up. But he doesn't live in the property, so I don't understand how adding a potential addition for somebody that may rent the property down the line is practical difficulty. And it's my understanding that's what you have to get an approval of variance request.
Sounded like Councilman Wood was getting there, so he's gonna have to articulate it at the next meeting.
Okay, that's my concern.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? All right, this will be tabled until our next meeting, and Dr. Pontos, have your colleague clean that up, or your builder, whoever's leaving all that stuff on the driveway, have it done in the next week, okay?
No, that'll be done very, very quickly.
All right, thank you.
Guarantee you.
All right, gotta start.
Okay.
All right, do I have a motion? Yes, I have a motion to adjourn this, matter.
Motion to
Adjourn this 117 Mapleton until 1 month.
motion to adjourn this particular issue for
Yes.
117 Maple for 1 month.
Yes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carried as tabled. Do I have a motion to adjourn as the Board of Zoning Appeals and to reconvene as the City Council?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, road program update from Hubble Rock and Clark.
I can kind of tee it off. We have Eddie Zimmich here from Hub Ross and Clark. I've asked him to attend this meeting, really to give council an update of where we are with our road program. It was 2020 that City Council approved the Bell Initiative for Road Village. And we made, I think, some really good progress. And so we're really kind of talking about what we've done and where we want to go. As everyone's aware, this is again a ballot issue for our November election for renewal. I could point out it's a renewal, so these are not additional millage that would be placed on your tax bill, but would extend it as proposed another 5 years. So with that intro, I'll just turn it over to Eddie.
Getting disciplined. Thank you, Shane. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Thanks for having me here this evening. As Shane said, just wanted to go over a brief update of what we've been doing the last 4+ years in the city as far as road work. And then where we hope to go the next 5 years, basically with the new, the ballot renewal proposal. As you all remember, this at the time, but back in 2020, the road millage was approved. I believe that we were all in presentation virtually at the time. Things have changed, thank God, since then, but a 2 mil millage was approved back then. And since then, as Mr. Reside said, there has been a substantial amount of work done in the city since then. I'll get to it in a couple minutes, but obviously the main focus for these first few years are more your major arteries, which we know we have some more substantial issues than maybe some of the other roads, and we wanted to establish those first so we could have a nice framework to basically continue with the program and then look at more the local aspect. So what we have here is a map of completed roads in the last 4 years. Sorry, there's a lot of colors on here. You may want to take a look at your packets later closer. What we try to do is basically the first, just wanted to tell you up here, the rehabilitation by the county obviously was done by Lakeshore. That's not a city road, that's not a city's jurisdiction. So we just wanted to put that in the map to show that was done. However, that is not included in your overall Paisley rating average, which we'll get to later, because that is jurisdiction of the county. And then starting back in 2020, our first large project was the Kirby Road project, which took a little longer than we hoped, but it did come out very well. And we'll show some pictures of before and after in a minute. We also did Harbor Court that year. Moving on in 21, we did a number of projects. So, a lot going on this map. In 22, you can see the purple roads. We did a substantial portion of Ridge. We did the majority of Fisher Road and then Cloverly. And then we also reconstructed concrete small section of Williams south of Kirby. Moving on into 23, the contractor who was working on the 22 program started work. Actually, I'm sorry, the 21 and 22 is the same contractor, and we picked up a new guy for 23 4. So 23, we did. So what I have here is 2 different colors. The dark green were basically more of a robust road rehabilitation methods we did. So basically, the rest of Ridge Road, Kirchville from the southern limits of Fisher all the way to Moross, and then Vendome, and then a piece of Meriwether west of Chalfont. A lot of work was done on that in 23, as you recall. We also did a number of crack fill and overband roads as well, which is what we show here in the lighter green. If you recall, we did actually Beaupre and Charlotte about 5-6 years ago, a mill and overlay, but since then we've already done some overband to keep the road in good condition. That's what you want to do, is you want to maintain the road as soon as you can when you start seeing cracks to keep the road in good condition longer. So that's what you see in the light green, which again, we did Beaupre and Charlevoix, and we also did a number of small sections of road, Hillcrest and Ridgemont to the north there as well, and then Kenwood down to the southeast. And then finally this year, so this year's work, what we're showing here again is the work that has basically been completed to date, and the rest of the work that we are planning on completing by the end of the year. Weather permitting, as always, but to point out, we've obviously done Chalfont and Calvin. Those were the 2 larger projects that we started with this year. We've also finished, we're in the process of working on the alleyways, a few of the alleyways, the MAC alleyways, as you see, on the west side there. And we've also done a section of Lewiston, between Beaupre and Charlevoix. And then what you also see here are a couple other additional areas that we're going to be doing some minor mill and overlay on before the end of the year. And that is the top northwest subdivision, a little piece of Barclay there. We're going to do a little bit of mill and overlay now. And then we're also planning on doing the remainder of Kirby Road to pick up where we left off a few years back from Kirchville down to Lakeshore. And then again, we wanted to add some more crack fill and overband, and Matt Bach and I have talked about this the last few weeks. So we plan on doing, again, the northwest quad subdivision, we plan on doing Chalfont, picking up from where we left off the mill and overlay, which is at Kirby, going to the northern limits. And then that piece of Williams right there, south of Ross. And then Mason and Champaign, we plan on doing some crack fill there as well. So these are the projects that we have worked on and will be completing, fingers crossed, by the end of the year, which as you can see, there are big mix of fixes, but for the most part, as you can see, we did more extensive work on some of your major roads. And again, that was by design. So now what we're going to show is just a few examples of the road work before construction, then after construction. So the first one we look at is Kirby. It was completed in 21. This is a picture on the left is from May of 2019. And this is what it looks like as of earlier this week, October. So you can see, you also notice that we framed the road better, meaning we put a curb and gutter and not just a straight curb, which most of your streets have over the years as they're overlaid. So it better frames the road and helps with drainage as well. Next slide. Ridge Road, as you can see, that this was another substantial project, really, because there was a lot of pavement there and a lot of the pavement was bad made. So we had to do a pretty deep mill and overlay section on the majority of the ridge. So you can see on the left here, this is from June of 22. It was completed later that year, and this is what it looks like now. We have a couple here from Percival. This is just north of Fisher, completed last year. There's a picture from June of 22 on the left, and then again from this week on the right. Next slide is another at Kirchville and McMillan, the intersection there. A little washed out on the left side, but you can see substantial cracks, reflective cracks from concrete underneath, alligator cracking, and this is what it looks like now, right? Chalfont, another one we just finished this year, another large project, a very wide road, as you know. We did not do as extensive as a mill overlay as we did on Kirby and Ridge, just because we were worried about some of the soils underneath. And we actually did a variable mill overlay and actually thickened up the sections where we needed to, did some base repairs, but as it turned out, we didn't have as many base repairs as we thought. You never really know until you know the road what it looks like underneath. So we were lucky in a lot of these instances on Chalfont. So as you can see, a big difference there from June before the work and then to this week. So obviously with these improvements and what we've done the last 4 or 5 years, more obviously still needs to be done. The roads are continue to deteriorate, of course, and the longer we wait, basically, the more work, the more expensive, and more costly the work will be. It's nothing different than car maintenance. If you put off doing routine maintenance on your car or putting something off and you know it needs to be repaired, obviously you're more likely going to have a real costly repair down the line. So it's very similar with roads. We want to try to do what we can to maintain the roads when we can with the money we have to make the roads last longer. Obviously, just real quick, sorry. Obviously, the road construction costs, as you probably recall, especially at the start of the pandemic and 2-3 years after that, everything was skyrocketing. Asphalt, concrete, trucking. Granted, there were a lot of large projects as well with the highway construction, but that significantly increased pricing across the board. And we were still able to, obviously, the 2 mills were still obviously very impactful, but maybe we could have done a little bit more if it were 5-6 years ago. You know, that's everyone experienced this. You know, everyone had a big list of things that they wanted to do. Maybe they only can do about this much. But again, I feel with what we've done, looking at that colored map, that a lot was accomplished, in a rather short amount of time, if you will, with the increase in costs as well. And obviously, the goal is to strike an acceptable balance between the cost of taxpayers and value added from improved road infrastructure. So getting to Hazer ratings, and I know you're all familiar with Hazer ratings and what we do and how we're rated. Just a brief overview again, it basically stands for Pavement Surface Evaluation and Rating System. So you're basically going out and you're looking at the surface of the road and you're rating what you see. Now, there are guidelines as to how you're going to rate the roads from 1 to 10. There's actually every year, whoever rates roads is supposed to get go to a seminar, 1 or 2 day seminar to basically get reacquainted, because the the categories do change from time to time. So you need to get certified every year if you're gonna go out and rate roads. And the important part of that is, you want to get certified because SEMCOG will then reimburse that work to everyone who applies, which I'll get to as well, to get the ratings done. So again, 1 is your worst failed condition, 10 is basically a brand new road. We can update annually the ratings, and I'll get to that in a minute as well. That's how we do that. Typically, we're not asked to do that, but we can, like we kind of today, which I'll show you. But what does happen every 3 years is that SEMCOG, basically every year, SEMCOG in the fall around this time, haven't seen it quite yet, it's probably any day now. They do a call for projects basically to all the clients, all the municipalities, and say, apply for road ratings for the following year. So we're gonna do that for you guys because you are due in 2025. So last time we did it was 2022. So every 3 years, you're allowed through SEMCOG, I mean, you can do it every year if you want, you just wouldn't be reimbursed for it, but every 3 years is the standard. Even SEMCOG does that with all their major roads, their FAC, federally eligible roads, which you do have a few as well. So last one was done, like I said, in 22, and then we plan on coming to you again once a year to get the call from SEMCOG to go out in 25 and do them again. So this is basically just the condition rating of what Pazer is. An 8, 9, 10 rating, basically they're saying it's good or excellent if it's a 10, obviously. And basically what you want to do as you get down the numbers 9 and 8, maybe you would do some routine maintenance, and that's basically maybe crack fill, minor crack fill at that. Minor patching, so basically you had a couple potholes here, like say the road was in great condition, but for some reason there was a couple potholes. Routine maintenance. And of course, snow removal, it seems funny that it's on here, but it's basically, you want to make sure to try to get the snow off the road, because if you do have any cracks and the water gets in there, that's how potholes form. So it's just something we keep on there. Preventive maintenance is basically, a fair is considered 5, 6, or 7 rating. Basically what you would do is some sort of preventative maintenance, which is a combination of crack fill or overband, which you typically see the overband on your major roads. If you're familiar with that, you've probably seen it. Aesthetically, it doesn't look the best, but it holds up even better than crack fill. Crack fill, you're literally filling the cracks. An overband, you're literally painting over it. So you see these thick lines, and I'm sure you've seen them on a lot of your major roads. So we do a combination of that. Typically on the majors, we do more overband. When we say surface treatment, it can be like a seal coat. We don't do too many seal coats truthfully anymore, but we can do them, and we do them occasionally. It's not always the best option if you've got a lot of cracks underneath. And then maybe a thin overlay, again, non-structural. So the thin overlay is like basically an inch. We used to do more of those in the old days. Wayne County used to call for those, but we don't try to stay away from them. And then a concrete joint repair. So if you have a good streak, again, nice road, but there's some joint issues, do some crack fill or some minor repair. And then finally, what's considered 4 is 1 through 4. It seems like there's a lot of numbers in there, but there's varying degrees, obviously, of this, and how you would tackle these ratings is, again, if you're at a number 1, that's a complete reconstruct. And if you're at a 2 or 3, you're basically going to do more substantial repair, which could be a deep mill overlay, which is what we've done on all your major roads. Replace concrete slabs, like Newberry. What we've done, we're obviously milled the concrete there. We're replacing the slabs that were bad and doing undercuts, and then doing an HMA overlay on top of that. So that's a little more expensive. And then a structural overlay would be, again, if you're doing a mill overlay, you're not just doing a thin overlay, you're actually doing 2, maybe 3, potentially 4. Let's give you a little more detail than I guess here.
Yeah, we know this.
For the crowd. Yeah. Roadway deterioration, again, just basically, it's a variable curve. Nothing is constant because obviously there's many factors. There's weather, there's traffic volume, there's traffic loading, the existing thickness material of the pavement itself and the underlying soil conditions, and then how well it's maintained and when it's is basically what the deterioration curve would show you. Next slide. So let's jump to, again, really hard to read, apologize, but this is basically what you're looking at here is your 2024 Pazer rating map. Now, again, as I said before, we're gonna go out in the spring to actually recalibrate and do all your ratings. So what you're seeing here is not actually what they are now. What I mean by that is that when I was talking about the Pazer before, all that information can be put into a software called the RoadSoft software, which Michigan Tech maintains, and we obtained that through them. So basically, these are projected ratings. I should be clear on that, because if you want to look at a couple of areas where you're like, well, that doesn't seem like it's a 3 or 4, it's because the road over time, if you don't do anything with the road, the software will basically overestimate deterioration. And that's just a factor of how the software works. It's just how the software works. It's not meant to be, truth, basically, because again, we're going to go out and we're going to see what it really looks like in person, not just what a computer tells us. But it is a good tool. Because you need some sort of tool to help you put this together and to start an analysis and to start with putting the CIPs together. So basically what you're seeing here is, again, projected ratings through the model. And again, it's more of they show an aggressive deterioration than what actually is out there. And you can go to the next slide. The next slide is basically some slides. Should be more. The next slide is basically good. Yeah, there it is. That's it. Yeah. So this slide, what you're looking at here, is projected 5-year average Pazer rating. Now we provided one of these 5 years ago as well. If you look at the first node there, you basically what we're saying based on the projected map now, which again is likely lower than what's actually there now, is roughly 4.2 is your average rating for all your roads in the city. Okay, so when we put this together 4 years ago, I believe it was 3.6, and the projection at the end of 2025 at the time was 4.6. And if you look at the end of 2025, you're basically right there, assuming the top line, what we're looking at here, which is your 2 mil renewal, and then additional other source funding, Act 51, of approximately $600,000, which Tim and I were discussing earlier. So the top line, the purple line, is basically your projection based on spending that much per year and having 2 mils being set aside for this, which is again is a renewal. So by the end of 5 years, you're roughly at a rating of 5. Now again, I know I keep saying this, but I want to make sure that you may be thinking, well, 4.2, that doesn't seem like much improvement from 3.6. And a couple of reasons. Obviously, one of them is that we did more extensive work on some of the major roads, so it costs more money per foot, per mile, if you want to look at it. And we've done the majority of your major roads now. We do have a few we want to still work on, but that's one reason. And then again, just keep in mind that the ratings, what you're seeing, is likely lower here than what is actual. So also wanted to show you just a couple other. The blue basically is what the estimate would be if you didn't get your renewal and you just spent your Act 51 money, your other source money per year. That's approximately what your average rating would be for the next 5 years. So eventually it does go down from where you're at now after 5 years. And of course, they do nothing if you just don't do anything. I guess they go down. And then so the proposed ballot language, as you see here, I can read it if you want, or if basically chop it. I'm going to read it. Let's keep it brief, right? All right, so
we voted to put it on. So
yeah,
it's on the ballot.
So you're well, Bill wrote it. We know the verbiage. Okay. This is just a slide, a brief comparison of millage rates for all the points. As you can see, the farms is the lowest on this, and again, 2 mil that you're looking for is a renewal, so it's not in addition to that. You still be at the 16.4. Next slide. This is the projected tax number amount from road millage. So again, this is based on 2 mils for $1,000 taxable value. What we have here is basically showing each year what the millage taxes would generate. Now this again, Tim Elton put this together, he put this together for us. This tax values increase of 3% per year. And again, this is only for the mills. It does not include any other active or other source of funding. If there's questions, what roads will be paved and how the selection will be determined. So as I said before, for the next 5 years, if this is approved, obviously we start looking at priorities. And as I said before, the priorities are going to change, right? They're not, every road doesn't deteriorate the same. We're going to look at everything again to see what maybe needs to be the next program for priorities. I know we do have a few, like I said, major roads that we still would like to look at. Grosse Pointe Boulevard, I know the last piece of Fisher between Lakeshore and Percival, and then of course your section of Fisher, Lakeshore from Fisher up to Warner. That's yours. Once it becomes one of it's a county. So those are a few one of the major roads that probably could use some work in the next 5 years. Again, this, I've seen this before, but tax value of 400,000, a home value of 400,000, taxable of 200,000. Basically, the first year impact would be $400 per resident. And again, next one. Any questions?
All right, any questions, Brendan?
Yeah, I noticed the big jump between when we were looking at PISA ratings between this year and next year versus the kind of steady progression that happens afterwards. What's the logic behind that?
Well, again, this program, we can manipulate it to do what we want. As far as the mix of fixes, we can do more the first year as far as more low-hanging fruit. Maybe you do more thinner mill or do 2-inch mill overlays instead of doing like a 5 or 6 maybe. So it all depends on, this is what we kind of came up with. Again, this can be poorly manipulated, how the city feels, Matt, Shane, how the city feels that we want to tackle individual annual projects.
And the other question I had would, conceivably in 5 years' time, we may go back to the voters again and ask them to renew this. I think it would be helpful, and this is just for our purposes. I think it'd be helpful to have this presentation like the fall before we go into a millage renewal cycle, just so that we can go to voters and say, this is what happened over the last year. So it's just a matter of like pacing these report backs would be a good way to flow. And then finally, this is probably just a request for Derek. Would it be possible, in next month's packet to get a color printed version of this? Because it's very hard to, this is worth studying, and it's frankly worth sharing with other members of the community. So I think it would be helpful.
Yeah, we'll put it on the website tomorrow, this email presentation.
Yeah, for the viewers at home, they're all two of them. They're able to see the detail. Unfortunately, we can't.
It's twice as many as us.
Go ahead. How's that right, Joe? Go this one now.
The private roads in Grosse Pointe Farms, are they part of the PACER?
No.
So you don't have they're not, are they average or anything like that?
No.
Right, and then do those homes on those streets, they pay the mill too?
Right.
They're not exempt.
Yeah, because it's a citywide village, so it pays for all those artery roads as well that feed those areas.
And the other question is, it seems like we have a lot of trucks going down our streets, from the restaurants, from Mack Avenue, and are we taking into consideration the composite, or we just put regular asphalt down?
Well, pretty much.
Wait, the load, the load does it.
Yeah, well, 90%, over 90% of your roads are composite roads as it is, and you have variable thickness of asphalt over concrete. As Shane knows and Matt knows, before every project, we go out and we take pavement cores and soil borings to see how much pavement, what's there in the thickness, and then we actually work with Carlisle, because we have our own MDOT certified lab who goes out and actually does all the testing, as you know, during the project. But they look at the cross sections of existing, and we come up with proposed cross sections based on equivalent axle loading and all that, and the type of asphalt mixes that we use are typically, nowadays, we use the more dense mixes, the E mixes, if you will, they're called. And And basically, what MDOT started to use maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It was very costly at the time because it was like a new mix, but it was a good mix because it was created, number one, like on hot days when you're at a stoplight and you're just sitting there, and then you leave and it just, there's like ruts, right? So the next time you come there, you're like, oh, I'm like in a rut. Well, these dense mixes are a lot denser where that prohibits that to a point. So we've been using these E-mixes everywhere in all our projects because they're strong, they're more durable, they last longer, and again, they're built more for this type of loading. So we look at all this internally and we try to come up with the best cross section. Now again, you know, to do a full-blown reconstruct on a road, you probably would do one block and your whole budget would probably be going for that year. Not to say we couldn't do it, you know, but it's not as easy as saying, okay, let's just reconstruct this road and put all asphalt, beach strength, or let's do concrete again. Because, like, as an example, Kirby Road, I believe we encountered, again, because it's always variable, we counter anywhere from probably 13 to 18 inches of pavement on top of really good soil, actually. But, and the concrete underneath is beautiful. I know it's not like an engineering nerd, but the concrete is like the old concrete with a large aggregate, which is still like solid. So that's why we didn't have to, we wouldn't even have done a reconstruct. I think it would have been pointless because you have such a good base on Kirby that, and you had so much asphalt, that's what we could do with 7 inch.
They don't build them like you used to.
Wow.
Yeah, right. No, you're right.
It's like our homes, right?
Refrigerators.
Yeah, I guess that seeing what you've done here tonight, Eddie, thank you very much, is the message to our voters, to our residents here is several things. First, this 5-year program that we're asking to renew, the 5-year program that we've had has been very successful in terms of number of roads, number of roads impacted. You showed how many roads we've actually impacted and done this work on. Visibility wise, it just looks good. You know, the rebuild looks really, really good. So that's another benefit. Safety has been another benefit. You know, you get improved roads, less bumpy, less potholes, we have safer roads. And then the other is, you know, it just makes driving nicer and easier around Grosse Pointe. So to use this bully pulpit here tonight, let's all suggest that our residents, you know, renew this millage so we can continue our program. So, right.
Any other questions for council? Any questions from the public?
Andy with 306 Fisher. Just want to thank you. That was a great presentation. I couldn't see any of it, but I heard. You know, this has been a presentation a couple months ago, reflections of like in a few weeks, so people aren't paying attention to it, so, but I appreciate it, so, I mean, Fisher Road is great now.
Could I ask another question? Sure. Have you coordinated with the city in terms of finding out about Fisher from Kirchville to Jefferson? And where we're going on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have been working with Grosse Pointe City. We have applied because that section of Fisher and Lakeshore Road and Grosse Pointe Farms from Fisher to Warner are we call it FAC wards, federal aid eligible road. So we have applied for that aid several years now. We reapplied this past year, and we keep on going up in the rating where we think we will get federal funding for that hopefully next year.
So the roads have to get worse before you can make them better. To get the money to. Yeah. All right, thanks, Eddie. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
All right, item 7 on the consent agenda. Now, on the consent agenda for. Hearing none. Approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Okay, support?
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, we have the public safety report in front of you, and I'll say, do not leave your keys in your car. Mr. Reside, other business.
It's been a busy month. I think from our last council meeting, the Coast Farms Foundation had the major fundraiser at the park, which was a huge success. So really appreciate everyone's support for that. Then the foundation, following weekend had the concourse, the Elegance Car Show, had a little bit of rain, but still, I think we had 100 vehicles on display for that event. So good turnout and an event that keeps on growing. Public Safety Department, we appreciate their efforts. They had their open house a couple weekends ago, and again, had a great turnout of particularly the youth in the community who really got firsthand experience and seeing many of the programs that are operated from the department. So appreciate that. And last of all, this past weekend, Pier Park hosted the Autumn Harvest Festival at the park. Had over 500 visitors for that event, and kind of a segue into the fall and our leaf season, which officially began our loose leaf collection today. Is our first day of it. So just a reminder to everybody, your leaf collection, your yard waste will now be collected the day following your normal rubbish collection day. So if you have a Monday collection, it's picked up Tuesday. If you're picked up your normal trash, picked up Friday, it will be picked up the following Monday. And we ask that residents try to keep it out of the streets as long as possible, either the night before pickup or the day of pickup. If you want to put it on the street, that's great. Or if you leave it at the curb, our Public Works Department will break it in the street and have it collected. What we don't want to see happen, obviously, is if we get heavy rains that those leaves obstruct our storm drains. But so far so good, and we're looking forward to this fall and collecting a lot of leaves. That's it.
Anybody else?
Yes, Honorable Mayor, I'm excited to announce that tomorrow we are hosting the Beautification Advisory Commission is hosting the 36 years Beautification Award ceremony. I'm very excited. We are honoring 6 residential properties, 1 commercial property. Reception starts at 6:30. I hope all of you can come out. We will have food and beverages, and we put together a wonderful program. Well, I didn't want to say that.
Awesome. Anyone else want to comment?
I just want to acknowledge just that today is Indigenous Peoples' Day, and it's we spent a lot of time. I think recently we did a wonderful commemoration at Grosse Pointe in Pier Park of the kind of rediscovery by Europeans of our communities, but we also have a really proud Indigenous history right here with the Fox and Anishinaabe tribes. And finally, in addition to acknowledging the importance of Indigenous peoples in our foundings, it's also important to remember that Indigenous people are still here. And so we value them as members of our community, and just like to wish everyone a happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
I echo the same greeting. Thank you, Neil. Just want to encourage everyone to get out and vote. Next time we see you, we'll have some election results, we hope, by that time.
We had, I think, Derek, if I'm right, I think we had 82% turnout 4 years ago for the presidential election. So
Yes.
I'm hoping for higher 80s. So that's pretty darn good for standards of the state. Autumn Harvest Fest was awesome.
Yes.
It was, I got my fill of apple cider and a great cider donut. So I appreciate all that and all the volunteers that were there. It was, the park still looks great, and it was a great season. I appreciate the new couches in the community room more than you know. They were the original couches from like 15 years ago.
Oh, man. 20 years ago.
20 years ago, yeah. And so Shane took a big truck to Macy's and bought some couches. It was awesome.
You gotta go to the beautification ceremony to enjoy them.
Yes, you do, yes. All right, anybody in the public have anything? I see an arm, but I can't see who's behind Michelle. Oh, come on up. I'm sorry, you're blocked out by Derek and Michelle. Name and address, please.
Catherine Salverbeer, 234 Provençal Road. I was really happy to just hear that all of you guys realize the importance of informing the voters before there is any significant vote. which certainly is relating to millages. And when I was here in June and you voted on placing the senior services millage on the ballot, I did speak against it because I had done a little bit of research and found not much information, and what I found was very conflicting. And everyone I asked essentially said, well, we'll just pass it and then we'll be able to tell you what it will be. And quite frankly, we've heard that before and it didn't turn out so well. So I began doing some information because I spoke to people and found out that the public perception on what was going to happen with this millage was that if it passed, all the money was going to go directly to the helm. And in fact, I met with Mr. Reside, who was kind enough to give me his time, and found out that on a draft agreement among the cities, that was definitely not the case. That contracts essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, would be issued and they would be reviewed and then decided whether or not they were appropriate or not. But that is not really what has been communicated to at least the city of Grosse Pointe Farms. There's a lot of facts, for example, that if this doesn't pass, Meals on Wheels is going away. Well, that's not happening because Meals on Wheels is administered by the Detroit Area Agency on Aging. They have an $86 million budget. They do a lot of other things, but this is one of their main things. And it's our federal tax money that serves that, as in addition to our state money. So we're already getting dinged twice. And in addition to that, you have to apply for Meals on Wheels. And there's about 5 different conditions that you have to meet in order to qualify. There were a number of people that we kept talking to, and a small group of us went, and we would ferret out things online, we would meet. We even met with a reporter from the Grosse Pointe News to try and get them to present basic facts on both sides. I checked out the QR codes with flyers I got from them and found information that was very different from what they were saying. So the confusion was serious. We tried to get a copy of the draft agreement. We thought that would be kind of easy. It wasn't. One of the people in our group had to present a FOIA request to their city and pay $24.50 to get the draft agreement. So I kept thinking, the key here is, what is the need? Everyone keeps saying we have all these seniors. Okay, I'm one of them. And I'm looking around and I don't know any of my friends who use the helm or senior services in general, with the exception of physicians, physical therapists, etc. So what I did was find the master plan. And it's a draft. It was published in May, well, available in May. And what I found out was very interesting, because the anecdotal information that we were being told as to why we need all these senior services didn't make a lot of sense to me. The master plan states, and I can tell you the page, that the median age in Grosse Pointe Farms is 46.1. Median, from a statistical analysis, meaning you have as many people older as you have younger. And the younger people in the group of 18 and younger is one of the ones that's growing, not just the senior old people like me. Secondly, the statement was made that the population and household size in Grosse Pointe Farms has remained steady over the past few decades. So we're not really becoming a city of old farts, as I call them. There's a whole host of issues here. Now, a public survey as to what people really want in the master plan, who was it completed by? The largest percentage, which was 41.1%, by people 55 and older. So those people who attended meetings, filled out surveys, as you all know, were the ones who would know if there is a need for senior services, as the Helm has said, healthcare and elder care, whatever that means. I just want to finish, and if you haven't, if you've tuned me out, that's okay. But I want you to think of one last thing, because this report costs a lot of money. And the bottom line is, I and the small group of people who got together spontaneously probably know more about senior services in all of the points in Harbor Woods than a lot of people. The draft report of the farm's master plan came out May 5th. The ballot vote from this council was on June 10th. If you guys knew that there was this overwhelming need for a senior village, it should have been in this report, and we all should have been aware of it by June 10th. There is no mention of any need at all in this report. And in fact, the most basic telling paragraph is, given that the vast majority of comments and survey responses and remember, 41% of these people were over 55, centered on retail and dining options, public infrastructure, like we just talked about, neighborhood character and recreation opportunities, it can be inferred that respondents feel they are generally well served by the city and appreciate the overall quality of life it provides them. The ending sentence is, this in turn resulted in responses that address issues beyond fundamental civic and planning issues, such as land use, taxation, parking, and basic public services. This is what people identify. So all I can say is I'm happy that you understand before anything is put on the ballot for a millage, residents have to be informed, and we can't do it very well by ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm making this response very quick, because I know the hour's getting late. Thank you for bringing some of those things up. I will say one thing. I had a lot of questions, and so did other council members, about this particular proposal. I voted, and I can't speak for my other council members, I voted that there are a number of different issues within the proposal that really have a lot of concerns, to your points. However, I voted that I wanted this to go on the ballot so that people could decide themselves, as I would decide on my ballot myself. I believe that there's democratic, there's a number of different demographics that have been outlined, such as within our master plan, that has been outlined in other different venues. I have to tell you, one of the most important pieces of information about this ballot proposal was in the Grosse Pointe News with a 2.5-page analysis. And I thought it was well done. And it was done objectively. And I do think that it brought out many of the different issues that you articulate. So It's not my preferred way of putting a ballot proposal on the ballot, but I do believe that it will come out as far as what the voters want and what the intention was of people to put together the ballot proposal. But I thank you for your comments.
Well, yeah, and I don't, the only thing I was gonna say is, and as I said in June, our vote was not a vote of approval of the merits of the ballot proposal. It was to simply allow it to go on the ballot for the people to decide. I don't want anybody to confuse, because the speaker was articulating that we didn't do a research or we want this or anything. All we did was vote to put words on a ballot to be considered by our constituency. So whether the master plan or whatever doesn't talk about what we think about it, this was just to put it on the ballot. And the folks and that vote in our community can decide.
Which is something I just said.
So it's not really.
But I'm happy that it's been more succinctly articulated by him. Thank you.
Could I just add one comment?
Sure. You're gonna make me think about 3 minutes. Come on.
No.
Come on.
Catherine Sauerbeer, 234 Provenza. My whole point was, as you just spoke to the man from Public Robert Clark about presenting facts to the residents before a vote is taken, that was precisely my point too. And in addition to that, the fact that it's very difficult to analyze this entire millage with all of its ramifications, because we really don't have access to the information. So if you're gonna tell us what roads you wanna work on to get us to pass the street millage, it's the same concept. Give us some information.
But I would argue again, this is our proposal for us spending money. So just like Helm will put out information about why you should vote yes there or vote, consider the facts. We're not Helm, and our job in that instance was to only put words on a ballot. In the roads, it's obviously us spending our citizens' money. So yes, so we will talk later about the merits, because this is our proposal. So I do see it as quite different.
But information helps, and that's my point. And the information out there is remarkably confusing.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public? All right, happy Halloween, everybody. Enjoy the October and the cold weather. Is that already full?
I would really get money.
That's right.
Christy and I are going.
Board's gonna be applied. Thank you very much.